As we speak, there is a powerful storm slamming into eastern India. It could be the worst the area has seen in 20 years. It's Cyclone Amphan, and it has just made landfall within the last hour near India's border with Bangladesh. There are millions of people in its path, and there is serious danger from heavy wind and rain and potential for a towering storm surge. Plus, COVID-19 could make matters even worse. Freelance reporter Neha Punya is in New Delhi this morning, and she has the very latest on this. Let's talk about the cyclone, where it is right now, Neha. I mentioned it had made landfall not too long ago, where it is and the damage it is causing right now.
Heather, that's right. It made landfall a short while back, and it's immediately hit the Sundarban region near the India-Bangladesh border, just near the Bay of Bengal. And what's happened in the last 12 hours is that this cyclone has now been downgraded. It's no longer a super cyclone, but it is still a very severe weather disturbance, being compared to a Category 3 hurricane. In the last half an hour, we've seen wind speeds of over 130 kilometers per hour, and officials are warning that the worst is far from over, that it will take 4 hours for the eye of the storm to pass over the Indian state of West Bengal, and then this storm is going to head over into Bangladesh and then pass on to Bhutan on Thursday local time. What we're already hearing is that 2 people have died because of the high wind speeds. Officials saying they're preparing for water surges that are as high as 5 to 6 feet, which is why it's imperative, they say, that everyone stays indoor. So far, millions of people have been evacuated both in India and Bangladesh, with the statistics showing that 33 million people could be impacted by this storm in one way or the other. And of course, like I said, the worst far from over. The landfall has just happened, but the impact is going to be felt over the course of the next 24 hours.
The impact from COVID-19 is something that may last even beyond that. Neha, I'm wondering, in terms of preparation for this storm's devastation, in terms of rescuing people, how might COVID-19 enter into this story?
Heather, that's been the biggest worry for officials as well. They've repeatedly said that this has come as a double whammy at a time when India was dealing with a massive COVID-19 outbreak with over 100,000 cases so far. This has certainly stretched already limited resources. In the last 2 days, we've seen evacuation efforts being carried out at a war footing, but the biggest challenge has been where to put these people who've been taken out of low-lying areas and in residential areas that are close to the coastline. Usually you have schools and cyclone shelters that are pressed into service at times like these, but these institutions and establishments are already being used as quarantine facilities for COVID-19 patients and suspected patients, which is why the biggest task at hand was to remove people who are quarantined there, send them home for self-isolation, completely thoroughly sanitize these establishments, and then move people into these shelters. But of course, there's also a question of capacity. Usually, for example, if a shelter can hold 1,000 people, keeping in mind safe distancing norms, you can only now accommodate half the number of people in a shelter like that. Many locals, officials say, have also been dead set against going to these facilities over concerns that they might contract COVID-19, given that this was being used as a coronavirus facility. So a lot of challenges, also given that there will possibly be some casualties and injuries, that will also put a lot of strain on existing stretched hospital resources as well.
Neha, thank you very much. A pleasure to have you bring us that story live from New Delhi. That is Neha Punya, a freelance reporter.